On July 21st, 1972, I was briefed that I was to fly to Phú Quốc Island, but also stop at a small island along the way and drop off several envelopes to U.S. Navy personnel assigned to a radar site on a tiny island midway between the coast of Vietnam and the Big Island. Keep in mind that I was flying a single-engine U.S. Army helicopter with no real navigation equipment to lead me to these locations. It would be dead reckoning to each site, then on to the Big Island of Phu Quoc, approximately 100 miles shore to shore. Before taking off, I plotted the course from Roc Ya, a coastal city on the west coast of Vietnam in the Kinh Nhang province, to a small island, the name I no longer remember, then on to An Thoi, where the U.S. Navy had a naval base with a nearby airstrip. As I flew out to the west over the gleaming waters of the Gulf of Thailand, I noticed that I was unconsciously climbing. At about 4,000 feet, I maintained my altitude, not wanting to be any higher. After passing some small islands in the archipelago, I made radio contact with someone on my target island. They told me they could hear the chop of my blades as I neared the island. Soon I found a wide space in the road on the top of the hill where they had their radar site, on which I landed and shut down my helicopter. They seemed happy to see another American face, as the duty on the island seemed rather lonely as they were remote. But hey, they didn't have some captain breathing down their neck. After about 45 minutes on the ground, I cranked up the little helicopter and headed toward the northern part of the Great Phu Quoc Island. The island was lush and heavily forested. Occasionally I would see small groups of huts scattered along the beaches. I knew that there was a prisoner of war camp on the island near the southern end, so I thought I would buzz the island as I headed toward An Thoi. Soon I spotted the long tin huts clustered in orderly fashion, surrounded by concertina wire and soldiers of the South Vietnamese Army. Phu Quoc Island, being isolated and in the Gulf of Thailand, made a perfect location for a prison camp. The prison, built by the French colonists to imprison Vietnamese people, was known as Coconut Tree Prison. During the Vietnam War, there was little fighting on the island, but the island was used by the Republic of Vietnam Armed Forces as a prison for the captured Vietcong. In 1967, the Saigon government rebuilt the Coconut Tree Prison into the Phu Quoc Communist Prison. This was the largest place in South Vietnam to keep communist soldiers, with more than 32,000 Vietcong and North Vietnamese prisoners. Sometimes that number grew to 40,000 people, including political prisoners. Phu Quoc Prison had 12 areas guarded by 3 military police groups. 2 additional areas were built at the end of 1972. Each area could hold approximately 3,000 prisoners. After a couple of turns around the prisoner of war camp, I headed south to the naval base and landed to be refueled. While I was there, a large U.S. Air Force C-130 landed on the rough strip. Soon, VC prisoners of war were being escorted off the plane. A U.S. Navyman came running up to my helicopter and screamed at me that I couldn't take photos of the prisoners. I had already taken at least one. Phu Quoc is famous for its 2 traditional products, fish sauce and black pepper. The rich fishing grounds offshore provides the anchovy catch from which the prize sauce is made. As widely agreed among the Vietnamese people, the best fish sauce comes from Phú Quốc. After I dropped off the documents and refueled and before heading back to mainland Vietnam, some officer ran up and wanted to know if I had buzzed the prisoner of war camp. I told him that I had flown over it, flown the length of the island. He was upset and told me that I was lucky I wasn't shot down. He said that the VC and the North Vietnamese Army used the island as an infiltration route, and I could have easily been shot down. No one told me the perils of flying low level over the island. I took off and headed back to Rock Yaw before flying back to Can Tho, my base. As soon as I landed in Rock Yaw, the stress of flying over the Great Gulf of Thailand in the single-engine helicopter rapidly diminished. Today, Phú Quốc Island is a major tourist attraction for Vietnam. It looks nothing like it did 50 years ago, save for a museum about the infamous POW camp.